Hello, cellos! As promised, this is part 2 of the first etude out of Dotzauer's many etudes for cello. In the last video, which you should definitely see if you haven't, because this is part 2 of 2, we looked at the first 4 lines, where we played a lot of scales in C major, which is the key of the whole etude, and then in G major, which was our first modulation. And then we started a second section, in which we did a short little bridge with a lot of half notes in D major, introducing our C sharp extension and our third finger F sharp, and then we switched back to C major and we got into a very noodly quarter note section with lots of string crossings and tunnel fingers and preparations. Hopefully, as you've practiced that and become more comfortable with it, you've noticed a constant descending scale through the line. So if I play this a little bit quickly, it's that noodly section. So if you're looking just at the first and the third notes of each of those measures, you see the descent come through. Starting again at that forte with the noodly section. It's not perfect everywhere, but you can definitely see a sort of marche harmonique, where we're constantly going down, down, down until we reach that fourth finger on the C string, which is where we're starting today. So we've got this fourth finger, F natural, on the C string. It's a whole note, and it says piano underneath it. And that's going to start us off on a new section. The last 2 measures introduced a B flat, which was our second finger on the G string, and we're going to keep that for a little while longer and play something a little bit sneaky. So let's go ahead and start on that F natural, and let's hear how this next section sounds. 1, 2, ready, go. Section. So that's about 3 lines, and we are now 3 lines from the end. Playing with my laptop, so this is kind of tricky. And we're looking now at a section that kind of reintroduces the theme that we had at the very beginning of the piece, which was that scale, starting with the whole notes and then getting into half notes. Da, 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 da. But instead of just climbing up to the climax of the scale, we're instead doing it a couple of times, and each time introducing a different scale. So starting where we started, we were playing our F, and we still had the B flats. So we're actually no longer in D minor here, because this section is F major. So if you've not heard of relative majors and relative minors, for every key signature, there are actually 2 keys. So for example, C major is C major with 0 sharps and 0 flats, but it's also the key signature for A minor, which has 0 sharps and 0 flats. And the difference between a major and a minor key is just going to be where the spaces fall. So, for example, the pattern of half steps and whole steps gets shifted over from a major scale to a minor scale because you're starting on a different note. Your tonic is a different note. So here, we are starting this scale on F, which should make it pretty obvious that we're going to be in an F sort of key. And we have the same notes as D minor because we have the 1 flat, we have the B flat, the second finger on the G string. And we happen to know that F major is the relative major key of D minor. They share the same key signature, but they sound completely different because major keys tend to be happier and minor keys tend to be sadder. And that's just because the pattern of half steps and whole steps is different because you're starting on F instead of D. A roundabout way of explaining the key we're in. So we're starting here in F major. We go up the F major scale, and then we come back down. But instead of going all the way down to F, we start on G. And then we start going up a G something scale, except modified because we still have the B flat. But it's not G minor because we don't have an E flat. So that's just kind of different. But we are going from G to G. And then as we're coming down, now we start noodling again. So now we have a C sharp, and that's going to be, again, our fourth finger extension on the G string, so watch out for that. And we're, again, doing a bunch of this string crossing with the chord notes. And that's where we get into the... first finger extension for the B flat. And that's where we want to be. That's low C string, the open C, brings us finally back to C major, which is the key we started in. So this whole noodly section with the accidentals, with the C sharp, the F sharp, the C natural, the F natural, the B flat, all of those changes are just bringing us back to where we started. Because in general, a song is going to start somewhere, get away from that theme, and then come back to it in the end, which is sort of how it rounds out or gives us closure that the song is over. So we finally come back to C major, and it took a lot of needling to get there. Let's see what happens next. So we're starting on the low open C half note, followed immediately by the octave jump with a C on the G string. Let's start in that measure. That's 2 before the start of the second to last line, if you can't find it. 2, ready, go. That's very nice. Those are very nice patterns to bring us to the close. Here, we're not doing any modulation. We're staying in C major. We've got an interesting little B flat for drama, but we're really just bringing ourselves back to that final jump where we go all the way up to the high C on the A string, and then we arpeggiate down to the low C. That's very nice. And even these patterns in between, which seem kind of noodly, are extremely predictable, because all we're doing is we're jumping up to the top of a scale and then coming down, and then up and then down. And we're doing this constant marche harmonique, again, descending to where we want to end up. So let's put the whole thing together. First I'm going to put together these last 2 sections, and then I'm going to play it all from the beginning, just so you have a little frame of reference. I know this is a lot to work on and a lot to think about, one of the longer pieces that you may have ever played, but it's extremely valuable in that it shows you the things that you can do with scales and arpeggios. It shows you the relationships between scale intervals and why we use some of them more than we use others, and it's your introduction to modulation, because we do have a lot of accidentals here, and even some extensions. So, starting at the 3rd section, where we started today, all the way to the end, we're on that 4th finger F natural whole bow, about halfway through the page. 1, 2, ready, go. those little sideways V's are above the notes in the last two measures, those are accents. So you're just putting a little more weight and a little more emphasis on all of those notes. And the word pesante means heavy. So, well, it's a Latin root. If you speak Spanish, you're familiar with the word peso, or weight. So pesante is with weight or heavy. Let's go ahead and take it from the very beginning, play this etude start to finish so that you can see it put together or hear it. 1, 2, ready, beginning.